Scene script. Have you ever wondered about the rich, ancient history that predates the formation of the United States? This story begins thousands of years ago, with the migration of indigenous peoples from Asia to the Americas. As ice sheets receded, a land bridge emerged, connecting these two vast continents. This passage, known as Beringia, offered an invitation to adventure, a call answered by our intrepid ancestors. These early explorers, hunters, and gatherers embarked on an epic journey. They traversed challenging terrains, braved harsh climates, and ultimately made this new world their home. From the Arctic tundra to the rainforests of the Amazon, from the rocky peaks of the Andes to the expansive Great Plains, these diverse landscapes fostered an equally diverse array of indigenous cultures and societies. Imagine the sheer variety of indigenous life. The Inuit, mastering the art of survival in the freezing Arctic. The intricate societies of the ancestral Puebloans in the southwest, their cliff dwellings a testament to their architectural prowess. The vibrant cultures of the Mesoamericans, where the Maya, Aztec, and Olmec civilizations flourished. Let's not forget the remarkable societies in what is now the United States. Take the Iroquois Confederation, for instance, a sophisticated political system that brought together 5, later 6 tribes in a bond of peace. This confederation, also known as the Haudenosaunee, provided a model of federal governance that would later inspire the framers of the U.S. Constitution. Then there's the Mississippian culture, a society that thrived from the 8th to the 16th century. Their grand city of Cahokia, located near modern-day St. Louis, was a bustling metropolis, with a population rivaling that of contemporary European cities. These are but glimpses into the rich tapestry of indigenous prehistory. Each culture, each society, each way of life added a unique thread to this tapestry. They developed intricate social structures, innovative agricultural practices, and vibrant artistic traditions. They forged relationships with the land, the water, the animals, and each other. These ancient cultures laid the groundwork for the societies that would later form on the American continent. And so, our story continues, carried forward by the waves of history shaped by contact, conflict, and ultimately, the founding of the United States. But what happened when these indigenous peoples first encountered Europeans? Imagine the year 1492. Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer, sails across the Atlantic under the Spanish flag. He lands in the Caribbean, marking the first significant contact between Europeans and the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Columbus's voyage ushers in a wave of European explorers and colonists, each seeking to claim a piece of this new world for their own. This period of exploration and colonization was not a peaceful one. The Europeans brought with them not only their ambitions but also a host of diseases to which the indigenous peoples had no immunity. Smallpox, measles, and influenza swept through indigenous communities, decimating populations. This biological assault was devastating, leading to a loss of life on a scale that is hard to comprehend. Conflict arose as European settlers expanded their territories, encroaching on indigenous lands. The indigenous peoples, understandably, did not take kindly to these intrusions. They fought to defend their homes, their cultures, and their ways of life. Wars were waged, some notable ones being the Pequot War, King Philip's War, and the series of conflicts known as the French and Indian Wars. Negotiations were attempted too, leading to the creation of numerous treaties. Some of these, like the Treaty of Tordesillas and the Treaty of Paris, had far-reaching implications for the indigenous peoples, often without their input or consent. These treaties often favored the Europeans, further marginalizing the indigenous peoples and stripping them of their rights and lands. These encounters marked a turning point for the indigenous peoples, triggering a period of profound change and conflict. The indigenous peoples of the Americas were not passive victims, however. They resisted, they adapted, and they continued to fight for their rights and their survival. But the arrival of the Europeans irrevocably altered their world, setting the stage for centuries of struggle and resilience. As colonies grew and tensions with European powers increased, the groundwork for a new nation was laid. This was the dawn of the American Revolutionary War, a pivotal event that led to the birth of the United States. The 13 colonies, under the leadership of figures like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, rebelled against British rule. Fueled by the desire for independence and self-governance, they waged a war that lasted 8 long years. The war ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1783, marking the official recognition of the United States by the European powers. As we delve deeper, it's crucial to acknowledge the indelible influence of the indigenous peoples on this newly formed nation. One striking example is the impact of the Iroquois Confederation, a democratic alliance of 5, later 6, Native American nations. The principles of this confederation, based on unity and equal representation, resonated with the founding fathers. It is widely believed that these principles helped shape the U.S. Constitution, providing a blueprint for the federation of states we know today. However, the birth of the United States wasn't all triumphant. For the indigenous peoples, it marked the onset of continued challenges and conflicts. Even as the Constitution was being drafted, many Native American tribes were being pushed further west, their lands seized for the expansion of the new nation. This period was marred by broken treaties, forced relocations, and cultural erasure, a stark contrast to the democratic ideals the new nation professed. The American Indian Wars, spanning over a century, were a grim testament to these conflicts. Indigenous peoples fought valiantly to protect their lands and their ways of life, but the odds were often against them. Despite the adversities they endured, their resilience echoing through the ages. The founding of the United States marked a new chapter in the history of the indigenous peoples of the Americas. A chapter filled with struggles and perseverance, a testament to their indomitable spirit. Their story, interwoven with the founding of the United States, is an integral part of the fabric of this nation's history. So, what are the key points we've covered about the history of the indigenous peoples of the Americas and the founding of the United States? We began by exploring the vibrant prehistory of indigenous peoples, a time marked by diverse cultures, languages, and ways of life. Then, we delved into the era of contact and conflict when Europeans arrived, creating a tumultuous period of struggle, resilience, and change. We concluded with the founding of the United States, a nation born out of the ideals of liberty and justice, yet intertwined with the complex narratives of those who were here before. Let's reflect on the enduring legacy and contributions of indigenous peoples to American history and culture. Their resilience, knowledge, and traditions have left an indelible mark on the nation's identity. They've shaped our understanding of the land, community, and spirituality, enriching our collective consciousness. As we look back on this history, we are reminded of the rich tapestry of cultures, conflicts, and transformations that have shaped the America we know today.